Peter of the Poor. For the performance of Peter Grimes?
Yes.
Here. My name is George Crabbe. The author?
Is this it? Peter Grimes?
Yes, that's it.
A poem?
Yes, a poem.
I thought it was a play. Well, I presumed it was a play.
No, it's a poem. I wrote it myself, over 200 years ago.
Published in 1810, to be exact.
It's a very long poem. All of this.
No. Peter Grimes is just one of 24 poems that make up the work, entitled The Borough by George Crabbe.
My poems describe the lives of characters living in my small seaside town of Aldborough at the end of the 18th century on the east coast of England. But I think you will see that many of them could be stories from your generation. Here are the characters you will recognize.
Stories about people like Abel Keane, the village schoolmaster, who, later in his life, was led astray by the younger men in the village. He lost his mind, finally hanged himself.
A quiet, simple man was Abel Keane. He meant no harm, nor did he often leave. He kept a school of loud, rebellious boys, and growing old, he grew nervous with the noise.
Or Ellen Orford, wronged by a deceitful lover and shunned by her family.
A humble teacher, I was of use, heavenly hopes in the young produce.
And the parish clerk, Jartin.
He was sober, chaste, devout, and just, one whom the neighbors could believe and trust.
But then, one day, temptation took her place. My foolish thieving caused my disgrace.
And, of course, old Peter Grimes, a stern, religious man, a fisherman.
And his young son, also named Peter.
So, what exactly is this poem about?
The poem is about poverty, about how we treat the poor people.
My poem is about poor people, ordinary people. You see, poor people have got to have courage. Why? Simply getting up in the morning takes some doing in their situation, or to plow a potato field in wartime, or to bring kids into a world with little hope. Yes, to live poor, that takes courage.
But the poem is also about child labour, the exploitation of young children.
In the case of Peter Grimes, it's about the workhouse apprentice system, where young children, mostly orphans, were sold to work in the factories and mills of England.
Yeah, but that all happened years and years ago. We're more civilized than that now.
Are we?
I'm afraid not.
200 years after the publication of this poem, child exploitation is still an issue that must concern us.
Well, I've never seen any child labour myself. Many of the children I come across look well-fed and contented. A burger in one hand and an iPhone in the other.
The International Labour Office estimates that right now, today, there are 170 million of us young people engaged in child labour.
Many of us are making textiles or garments for the likes of you.
Take your jeans, for instance. Do you know where they came from?
I haven't a clue.
Or those trainers? Where were they made? And under what conditions?
What about that t-shirt?
Look, I'll be honest with you. I don't know. Okay? Perhaps I should, but I don't.
So let me introduce you to the girl who perhaps made your trainers. 13-year-old Bakshia works alongside her mother, making shoes and trainers.
My work consists of cutting, stitching, and gluing tiny pieces of leather together.
Her hands ache constantly.
In the larger factories, children are often forced to perform really arduous tasks, such as dyeing,
Sewing and cutting, trimming threads.
folding and packaging garments.
In smaller workshops, children are put to work on more intricate tasks, such as embroidery, decorating blouses with sequins, or making pleats.
They call us snake boys at the copper mines. Snake boys. We're forced to carry equipment, picks and shovels down the copper mines.
My hands are my most precious gift from God. See my hands? My hands dig up potatoes from the heavy soil.
My name is Alexandra. A pretty name for such a dirty girl.
I am forced to sleep in a filthy caravan. 8 of us crowded in there like factory hens.
So that is why we are performing this piece.
Are you clearer now?
Yes.
So let's continue the telling of the story of Peter Grimes.
In the next scene, you'll meet old Peter Grimes, the father, who'll be represented by George Crabbe.
A stern, religious man.
He kept his own personal copy of the Bible by his bed.
Last thing every night, Peter read from his holy book.
The holy book was Peter's life. It is my life also. My name, Jarchin, was one of the pillars of the Temple of Solomon. Not many people knew that. Did you know that? Jarchin and Boaz, the pillars of the Temple of Solomon. I like to think that I, in my way as the parish clerk, am one of the pillars of the church here.
And what work can you do, student? We all have to work to earn the money to put on the plates.
And so we must all work.
Stitching.
Sorting.
Sewing, mending,
Collecting.
Assembling clocks, watches, mending phones.
So, student, go and help Jarchin. He'll show you what to do.
Our motto is simple: to perform pieces using the smallest amount of resources possible to obtain maximum results.
And so we come to the history of Peter Grimes. My name is George Crabbe, a very middling kind of man, an obscure English poet, largely forgotten until 1945, although I died long before then, in 1832. 1945 was the year when the famous composer, Benjamin Britten, wrote an opera based off of one of my poems, Peter Grimes. Although I am grateful for this belated attention, I must add that he changed my story a little too much for my liking. I did have another champion, however, and the novelist E.M. Forster, who some of you may have encountered. He liked my honesty. However, this is my story, and this is your story too. And this is a story about my children, 200 years past. And these are my characters. My friends, my neighbors, my people. But your characters too, because they still live among you. They will continue to thrive in your midst for years to come. Of that I am certain. The poor you shall always have with you. And this is the borough. So let's describe the borough.
Describe the borough, but all of its features show.
But can we picture, so that you may fairly streets and buildings trace, and all that gives distinction to a place?
This cannot be. Oh, yeah, move by your glass.
We'll paint a picture. Imagination do the rest.
Today, my small seaside town of Aldborough boast holiday cottages in the exclusive range, fine historic hotels, genteel tea shops, and a world-renowned annual musical festival. But in Peter's time, it was a very different place.
It huddles around the flint-towered church and sprawls down to the North Sea.
Then what a wallop the sea makes as it pounds at the shingle. The scenery is melancholy and flat, with expanses of mud and marsh birds crying.
We've no huge buildings where incessant noise is made by springs and spindles, girls and boys.
Our amusements, you ask? Well, we amuse ourselves with seaside walks and views.
Or take a morning ride, read a novel, or the news. Or, seeking nothing else, glide about the streets. And so engage with various parties meet.
While we stop, talk of wind and tide, bathing and books, the raffle and the ride. This with the aid which shops and sailing gives. Life passes on. 'Tis some labour, but we live.
With ceaseless motion comes and goes the tide. Flowing, it fills the channel vast and wide.
Then back to the sea with a strong, majestic sweep. It rolls in ebb, yet terrible and deep.
Look! Look! Dabbling on the shore, half-naked boys crowd. Swim around a ship, or swing upon a shroud, or in a boat purloined with paddles play, and grow familiar with the watery way.
Yonder is Archy. Hark to the clamour of that mighty road, mounted and narrowed by that vessel's load.
What the loud sailors, mingling in business, belling to the wind.
The squalid sea dames mend the meshy work and hang at open doors on Eton Court.
But before you bid these busy scenes adieu, behold the wealth that lies in the public view.
Broad-beaten paths lead on from stile to stile. The walks are ever pleasant. Every scene is rich in beauty, lively or serene.
Lively the village green, the inn, the place where the widow Ellen schools her infant race.
But our poor, how feed we?
To most, we give a weekly sermon at their homes they live.
Others together dwell in that pauper palace which they hate to see.
The workhouse.
The giant building, that high-bounding wall, the large, loud clock which tolls each dreaded hour.
Those locks and gates and all those signs of power.
'Tis a prison with a milder name, which few inhabit without dread or shame.
I escaped from the village of Aldborough as soon as I could, but I never truly escaped from the spirits of Aldborough. Even when I'm writing of other things, there steals into my work the sea, the estuary, the flat coastline, the local meanness and odor of brine, and the low-lying, ever-present mist that distorts all vision. They are always with me.
Old Peter Grimes made fishing his employ. Alone he cabined with him and his boy, and seemed that life laborious to enjoy.
To town came quiet Peter with his fish, and had of all a civil word and wish.
God's blessings on you, Master Grimes. I pray your labours have been bountiful this week.
The good Lord's bounty is endless.
Thanks be to God, that is true, Master Grimes.
As it says in the Bible, those who work their land will have an abundance of food. But those who waste their time in fantasies, like my lazy son Peter, they have no sense. The Lord will punish those who waste their time chasing fantasies.
Be more considerate, Grimes. Your boy is still young. You give him time to meet with the other youngsters in the village.
There is no such time. Prayer, hard work, and respect. Those are my 3 guiding principles.
Yes, but the boy will serve thee better if he strokes in bed.
I know what I must do, Judson. The boy is in my charge. I need no advice from the parish clerk. I need no interference from you and your likes in the village.
So old Peter left his trade on the Sabbath day and took young Peter in hand to pray.
Truly, I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me.
But soon, the stubborn boy from Care broke loose. At first refused, then added his abuse. His father's love scorned, his power defied. So when old Peter from his holy book read,
If anyone were to cause one of these little children to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck, and for them to be drowned in the depths of the sea.
young Peter, in contempt and anger, left the shed.
Peter, it is time for church, Peter. Do you hear me, Peter?
No.
What do you mean, no?
No.
Are you ill? What ails you, boy? Today is the Sabbath.
No.
Peter, the Lord calls us to church.
No.
The Lord blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on the Sabbath he rested from all the work.
No, Father, I say no!
What foolishness is this you speak? Is this the devil that speaks in you?
No, Father, I will not go with you!
But this is the word of life.
Yes, but this is the life itself!
And while old Peter in amazement stood, gave the hot spirit to his boiling blood.
Young Peter, with oath and furious speech, began to prove his freedom and assert the man.
From tired of this hole, Father! Tired of this little town! This place feels like a prison. I have no freedom here. Each moment of the day is troubled with work, responsibility, and prayer.
The earth gives way, though the mountains
I feel like this place has no air to breathe.
though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling.
But when the parent checked his impious rage, how Peter had cursed the tyranny of age.
Nay, once Peter had dealt the sacrilegious blow to his father's head,
No, Father!
and laid his parent low.
If thou art old and hast a son, thou wilt remember me. Thy mother left me in a happy time. Thou killed not her. Heaven spares the double crime. If thou art old and hast a son, thou wilt remember me.
Peter,
Leave me alone!
your anger will destroy you. You must shake off these bitter thoughts and feelings. Be more generous with your thoughts, Peter. Sometimes I struggle with my own devils too, when I think over my life thus far. After my father died and my mother wed again, I remember the wretched life we led. Then my shameful disgrace, and the faithless lover who left me with child. Sometimes I too feel despised, forlorn, ashamed. But I strive not to indulge myself in these fruitless ramblings because I love mankind. And I call God my friend.
I said leave me be!
Being drunk, Peter wept sorely when his father died.
Yes, then Peter wept, and to his mind there came much of his conduct, and he felt the shame. How had he oft the good man reviled, and never paid the duty of a child.
On an inn settle, in his maudlin grief, this he revolved and drank for his relief.